then I also want to thank all the mentors who made time today to come out to serve the community. When I think about a month ago, LOKA USA came to me to ask me for my help with it, and initially it was just to participate as a panelist, and then I said, oh, instead of spending your money, pay for some hotel or whatever, let me save you some money and you can come here. And then next thing I know, I'm recruiting mentees and organizing and all of that. And when I think about, and I've enlisted several of my closest friends, Yomi Choi, who is out there registering people. She's the Montgomery County Parent Community Outreach Coordinator, and so is Molly, who's also, Molly's here, and she's been taking care of the mentors and also helping with the logistics. And Jeannie Chin is my assistant principal. Yes, I have a Korean assistant principal too. It is very rare, but she's a welcome addition to Hoover. And I thought about, like, okay, this is a lot of work, and this is not a lot of work I didn't bargain for. And we're like, why are we doing this? And I'm going to tell you, we kept coming back to all of you. My passion has always been about kids, and I have spent 20 plus years in education. I came out of college at University of Maryland, first year teaching at Broad Acres Elementary School in Silver Spring. And it has been my passion. One of the things you're going to talk to mentors about today is what do you want to study, and you're in middle and high school, so you know, some of you might be very, you already know, but some of you might be like, I don't know, you're asking a hard question. And I have to tell you my own story of thinking that I wanted to be a nurse and starting out in pre-nursing. And my two sons are here, and my husband too, and they'll tell you I don't have the patience for that, or the temperament for that. And I did 2 years of undergrad in nursing, only to change mid-year, middle of the program, and go into something else. So the road isn't always straight, it's curvy. And wanted you to get started on your journey with some information. So that's why we're here, because even though you might take a different path, like as you get older, and that's only natural, it's always great to at least have a sense about what you want to do going forward, right? Have a set vision and a goal for yourself going forward. And that's why, you know, I decided to help with this. And also, if you look at the list of mentors, they're from like all varied walks of life. And that's great, because you could hear from doctors, scientists, people in law, delegate, professors, all walks of life, financier, right? So even though you might have come thinking, I want to really talk to this one person, be open-minded, because you never know where life takes you. And then you might think back on this and say, well, wait a minute. And it's good to know, going forward, and get as much information as you can to be planful. Also, parents that are here, and students too, as you go forward, there are some real things that you need to think about, like finance, for example, on how to pay for college. And I enlisted another friend of mine, Mi-Sun Kim. She's outside, and she works on finance side of the schooling and education. She has lots of information about scholarships and how to get loans and all of that. So we have lots of resources for you here today. It's only thing you need to do is kind of open your hearts and minds to learning more information and just ask a lot of questions. And if you don't know what to ask, And many of you that know me know I'm a little bit of a micromanager, so questions are listed in your capture sheet notebook and also on the screens, okay? So today your job is to ask lots of questions. And my questions are kind of boring, so if you have better questions, please do ask that. Make it a great opportunity for yourself. This kind of opportunity doesn't come often. So take advantage of it, be respectful, okay, you know that. All right, enjoy.
So next we're going to have a welcome from our LOKA president, Mr. Young Dae Cha, and a welcome from the Council General.
I sincerely welcome distinguished guests, honorable mentors, and mentee students to Mentoring Day 2019. We are very proud of this event because 10 outstanding mentors are participating. On behalf of LOKA and our community, I express sincere appreciation to Korean Embassy and Consul General Kwan Kim for supporting this event. Also, our thanks to honorable mentors for your commitment to contribution to success of leadership and future generation. Especially Delegate Mark for your 5 times participation as a mentor. Also 6 other mentors who participate second time today. So it's amazing. Okay? So we all appreciate your participation. Also, I would like to express special thanks to principal of this wonderful top-ranking Hoover Middle School, Dr. Kim, for your total commitment for this event, as this event is in your school, and you are actively involved with all kinds of organizing, and you brought 3 outstanding mentors from your family. Your husband, C.S. Kim, son, Dr. Nathaniel Kim, and yourself, and also another, Noah Kim, Mr. Noah Kim also came here. So I appreciate your special assistance to this event. This event couldn't be organized without Mrs. Youngmi Choi and Ms. Molly Kim, parent community coordinators, and Mrs. Jeannie Chin, assistant administrator. Thank you for your all hard work. Some ask me, what is LOKA, L-O-K-A, which is representing League of Korean Americans. Well, I don't have enough time to give all the information, but I will make it in one simple sentence like this. A non-profit citizens organization founded in 1980 for involving community issues and leadership development of future generation. LOKA, L-O-K-A, needs your memberships. Young people who come to this organization make it young organization. If you wish to join, please write in your evaluation sheet today. I want to be a membership. We will contact you as a member priority in next event such as summer internship or mentoring like this. I'm concluding this with a few words to mentee students. Aim high, very high. Be a leader. Build your first step to your success today. Thank you very much.
This event is actually a collaboration between LOKA along with the Korean Embassy, and we do have a guest here from the Korean Embassy representative, Ms. Song Jung-hye. You can please grace us with a few words.
Good morning, everyone. This is Councilor Jung-hye Song. I'm here on behalf of the Consul General Fan Kim at the Korean Embassy in Washington, D.C. Firstly, I would like to convey my sincere gratitude to Dr. Young-dae Cha for hosting this wonderful event, and also Dr. Young Kim for having this venue. As you know, Korea and the United States, our two countries are enjoying ever strong alliance relationship today. And I believe that our next generation of Korean Americans are getting into the mainstream United States society. The relationship between the Republic of Korea and the United States will get ever stronger. I would like you to bear in mind that you are the proud Korean descendants, and the Korean Embassy, the Korean government, will always stand by the Korean community to further enrich your career and also the development of the Korean community. There is a Korean saying that it says, it needs a village to raise children. Indeed, the parents and their teachers, not only for them, but also all village people in various fields are needed to raise our children properly. So the mentors here, that's why the mentors are here for sharing their valuable experience, wisdoms, and insights to our youngsters, so that our youngsters will grow with a dream to become a leader in the future. So I would like our young generation to get in touch with our mentors, not only in this event, but also in the future of your career, of your journey during being an adult, that you get everything you need from our mentors. And don't forget this event, that this is a very inspiring event, that you will get everything you need from for your future. So I would like to again convey my sincere gratitude to all the mentors here to share your valuable time and experience with our young generation, and hope that it will be a very successful event. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to go over the agenda for you today, not in detail, but to explain the setup for the next few breakout sessions. So there's going to be 2 breakout sessions. We have a total of 10 mentors. We have 8 present. So I'm going to start by just asking each of the mentors to stand up and wave. During the panel discussion later, that's where you're going to get to hear their background, a little more information about each of them. So right now, if I could just have Mr. Mark Chang, Delegate of Maryland. Thank you. Mr. Eric Cha, CFA Brown Advisory. Dr. Hung Hee Cheon, primary care doctor. Mr. Noah Kim, contract lawyer. Dr. Nathaniel Kim, research fellow, Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. Ms. Song Hutchins, counselor, HUD certified housing. And Dr. Gina Kim An, radiologist, MedStar Hospital. Thank you. So today we are going to start with 2 breakout sessions. We have 4 corners in the room, and at each of the corners will be a mentor. We're going to be able to fit about 8 students per table. And we understand that you may have a certain career path that you're interested in, but after the 2 breakout sessions, we're going to have a full panel of all of our mentors, and they're going to speak about their backgrounds, and we're also going to have a Q&A. So throughout the event, you'll have your chance to learn more about each of their backgrounds and their path to their careers. Given that we have the 4 corners, so in the front here is Mr. Mark Chang. In the back corner over there is Nathaniel Kim. And then in the front here is Dr. Kim An. So I'm going to give you a moment to look through their bios and see where you may be interested in going. But once we do have you move, if the table does fill up, we are going to ask for you to go to one of the other corners. So instead of moving right now, I'm going to give you a moment to read. Okay?
Currently a radiologist at MedStar. I've been with the group for about 5 years now. Prior to that, I was in the military active duty. I did 20 years and retired in 2014 and then joined MedStar. For med school, I went to the military medical school here in Bethesda, Maryland, USIS, some of you already know. And then my undergraduate was at Stanford. That's me.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Eric Cha. I'm an equity analyst at Brown Advisory. It's a financial investment management firm in Baltimore. I have received, by my name, it says CFA, that means I'm a chartered financial analyst, so it means I've got some credentials related to financial analysis. I went to undergrad at the University of Virginia, and I got my MBA at NYU.
Thank you.
Could you speak a little louder?
My name is Jiyeon Hwang-ki. I went to medical school at Hanyang University. Those of you who don't know, I think those go to that medical school need to be top 0.3% in Korea. And actually, currently, I have my internist office in Rockville, Maryland. I've been in that campus in that office for my 14 years.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Nate Kim. I grew up in Maryland. Went to high school at Roosevelt High School. Went to UMBC for undergraduate. Got a political science and chemistry dual degrees. Moved to Columbia to get to pursue a PhD in organic chemistry. And I'm now a clinical cancer radiologist at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Hospital and Cancer Institute in New York. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I want to thank the League of Korean Americans, Hoover Middle School, and each and every one of you for being here today. It's a great honor to be here. This is my 5th consecutive year of being here, and the conversations that we have with students and being able to share our experiences, but also listening from the students and finding out what is on their minds and what is going on in their lives. It's so important. It's also very refreshing to be able to kind of step away from what we currently do in our professions and to come out and spend time with the next generation and find out what is going on in the mind of the next generation leaders. So we want to thank each and every one of you for being out here and investing your time, and to all the mentors here and the organizers. We thank you so much for doing this. I'm a lifelong Marylander, went to Glen Burnie High School, still live my childhood home, and I serve as a member of the Maryland General Assembly. I'm in my 5th year serving there. I went to undergraduate school at UMBC and went to graduate school at Loyola.
My name is Song Hutchins, and I'm going to ditto with him, not repeating same thing. And I am President and CEO with the Impact on Wildlife Fund. It's a nonprofit organization, and I am the nonprofit administrator for the last 12-13 years.
Hey everyone, my name is Noah Kim. I'm an intellectual property contract attorney at Pillsbury Winthrop. My office is over in Tysons, Northern Virginia. I got my JD at George Washington University. Before that, I got my 2 degrees in undergrad at the University of Maryland, Go Terps. And yeah, it's great. Again, also that goes it was great speaking with whoever came to my panel or to my session, whatever it was called. And it's great seeing you all here, and thank you all for attending and for the planners and the organizers. It's good.
Good afternoon, Dr. Youngmi Kim, principal of the school, Herbert Hoover Middle School, #1 school in the county. I did my undergrad at University of Maryland in early childhood education. So I started out teaching from babies to 3rd grade. And then I got my master's in administration through Bowie State University. And then got my doctorate at University of Maryland in school administration and policy.
Yeah, my name is Jerry Chin. I do cybersecurity for the federal government. I want to say that I do it for a 3-letter agency, but I'm not FBI, so I can't claim I do cybersecurity for FBI. So I do cybersecurity for United States Department of Agriculture. You're probably thinking, why does USDA need cybersecurity? Oh, realistically, the section that I work in, we deal with commodities. So we get a lot of hackers and so forth. So we get a lot of bad people come in, try to come into the government network. And so that's what I do for a living. To be honest with you, I didn't go to college, but you guys need to go to college. You don't think you don't need to go to college to be cybersecurity. What's happening is the competition is getting so tougher. So you have to take every opportunity for a college that you need. You know, you need to take every opportunity that's available. You need certifications, so forth. I went to the Army. I joined the Army. I was with the 82nd, and then I was a drill sergeant for about 5 years. I was a drill sergeant afterwards. And then eventually, I ended up coming through federal government, and then I ended up at USDA because of my Army connections. So I was able to get in. Now, for you women, ladies, IT need women. There's not enough women. For the gentlemen, there's a lot of, in the cybersecurity IT side, the whole IT field is huge. It's like one big ocean. You can do Unix, you can do networking, you can do security. Now for the women, there's not enough women professionals, IT professionals. So for you women that are really want or interested in, make sure you guys take that opportunity. And I was saying for the men, take the opportunity, get as much, learn everything. I got in because I love computer games. I used to play computer games all the time. So, and that's how I started liking IT. Looking back, probably, I would say network as much as your kids guys are, you guys have Facebook right now, right? When I grew up, we didn't have Facebook. We didn't have any the social media. But you guys can make friends so much more easier, and you can build your network already. So, because what's going to happen is someone here is going to go work for Amazon. And then you're going to think, oh, she works for Amazon. Let me send her how you doing or whatever. And then you'll get connected. So you'll start networking. So it's never too late to network. If you want to be a hacker, they go to Vegas one time a year. They do DEF CON every year. You can play Spot the Fed, Find the Fed. Is a game that they play. And they have to look for the federal agent that looks like a regular person. And so, there's a lot of opportunities. Just be more open. Don't close off anything. Be open. Your parents will have a good general direction. If there's something you like, make sure you focus on it.
We're going to start off with, what do you like most about your job?
So my day, I think I'm going to do X, Y, Z when I get in, but my day is never what I plan because pretty much the job is reactionary. And so it's never boring. We start the day at 7 o'clock, we end the night at 7 o'clock. But it feels like we only had 2 hours of work. It goes by super fast. It's always different. It's not predictable. And I guess my favorite thing about the job is I get to work with kids, 1,050 kids, and I get to see like great teaching and learning, and I get to see kids grow and mature, and I get to see them walk across the stage at Churchill and then hear about them going to college and graduating and being in their, being successful in their careers when they come back to volunteer here at Hoover. It's a full circle.
Thank you.
What do I like most? I guess as an IP attorney, I think the thing that I like most about what I do is we get to deal with some of the most interesting things that you've probably seen or heard about. I was telling my panel that if you really want to be a lawyer, just think about what you're interested in first. So if you're interested in music, think about what you're interested in. Think about your music, think about copyright, think about the different fields of law that are relevant to what you're interested in, because no matter what it is, you're going to find something that needs a lawyer. And so for me, being an IP attorney, our clients have a lot of really interesting projects that we get to work with them on. And sometimes it's with another party and work against them, but sometimes it's getting something filed for them. So like for me, I was always really interested in cryptocurrency when it came up, and one of our clients, we had a trademark deal about involving cryptocurrency, and so I got to do a bunch of briefs on that, which is really fun for me because it's melding my profession and my interests. So I guess for me, I think for most lawyers, whatever sort of field that you just really like, even if it's outside of your schooling, there's probably some sort of work that you can do with it as a lawyer. So that's really fun.
Thank you.
As I said, I am a nonprofit management. The things that I really liked about it is that as the last 10 years of my nonprofit, we serviced about between 1,000 to 1,200 people, either educate them to buy homes or save them from losing their homes. So it is really when we save the people's home, when they can stay there, the satisfaction of helping people, that is the most, I guess, rewarding for working for a nonprofit.
The most rewarding part of my job is a very generic answer to give you, but it really is what makes it so great is that to be able to wake up every morning and be able to help people, whether it be people who live in my neighborhood, in the communities, or all across the state of Maryland. As a member of the Maryland State Legislature, we work together to pass laws to help all of Maryland, and also not just the folks in Maryland, but to help build bridges between Maryland residents and also residents all across the country. And also we do work with international relations, specifically on the Korean Peninsula. So it's a great opportunity to be able to work with many diverse people, the young at heart, work with people in the school system, work with people in business, and also working with international diplomats and working together to make our community in Maryland a better place.
So the best part about my job is that we can start to make changes where places, in areas and places that change was previously thought not to be possible. So I work specifically in pancreatic cancers with patients and patient samples. And what we always say we in sort of the Cancer Research Society, I guess it's mine to be selfish here. But what I do is I design and by chemical synthesis make experimental drug compounds that we believe for reason X and reason Y might cure or treat this pancreatic cancer. It's the second worst 5-year mortality rate amongst cancers, and there's currently no treatment for it. And it's long thought to be something that is that's just a very, very tough problem. So being able to tackle that, being able to, you know, have that brought in for patients, being able to image them, and then seeing sort of where that field has gone even just in the last 2 to 3 years is pretty exciting. So on the research side, not only do I get to see what I do, but I also get to see what everyone else does. And in published literature, it's sort of a shared pool of understanding. So that's pretty neat.
Very hard, tough question. Right. I guess what I like most about my job is I like humans, I like people, so I can meet different people at different counselings. Very happy what I'm doing.
Thank you.
For me, there's 2 things I really like about my job. First of all, so I research stocks. So I'm trying to pick stocks and see which stocks do better than the market. So for me, the competitive part of me really enjoys that, to see if I use my analysis, my research, and based on my research, can I outperform the market? So I like that part of it. The second thing that I like about my job is, I don't think in any other job, first of all, I would be doing this even while we're not working in this, even though we're getting paid, I'm doing this. And the second thing is, I don't think of any other job could I meet some of the most interesting entrepreneurs in the world. So one of the roles of my job is to interview CEOs and CFOs. So I would never have been able to meet Jeff Bezos or Howard Schultz or the people who started Costco. So it's just get to meet a lot of very interesting people and just do research.
Thank you.
What I like most about my job is, I guess number one, being a physician. I think we have the privilege to study the greatest machine, that's our human body, and then taking that one step further to be in a specialty like radiology, I think it's really cool. I think radiology is the best job in the whole wide world. Where we get to, study inside of what's going on in our human body without both being invasive and opening up. So when patients come in with, common symptoms of cough, and there's so many reasons you could have cough, but through, the technology and the innovation of radiology, we can help diagnose what's going on. So it's the most gratifying and interesting job. I love it. Every single day in the dark. That's where I live.
What I like most about my job is I get to work with hackers, people that stop hackers all the time. So, and there's the amazing part is the mind is so smart that we have to go and find different ways to defend it from hackers. And so it's the challenge of how to block something, hey, you can't come into my network. So we have that challenge. So So that portion is really, really, I want to say really challenging. And that's one of the things I like about it. But now the new days, now what's become more challenging is AI, virtual reality, Amazon, Google, all that stuff can be hacked. Realistically, I can hack most of your phones if I wanted. So, you know, it's that challenge. For me, it's a challenge, but you know, you really have to put some focus on there and pay attention to what you're doing, what information gets out, you and your family.
Thank you. So our next question will be, what do you like least about your job? And I am going to pass the mic just in case. You can choose to not use it.
I think what I like least, every once in a while, you think that everybody that goes into teaching love what they're doing, love kids, and do right by kids. But every once in a while, you come across a teacher that doesn't do that. And so that's when I have to do a hard thing of counseling them out. So one of my jobs is to go around, Jeannie and I and my 2 other assistant principals, the 4 of us, it's our job to go to all the classrooms and make sure the learning is happening. So we observe teachers every day, and most of the time we're cheerleaders. But every once in a while, we have to sit down with a person and say, what was that? And then it's not so fun. And because it's people's lives, and every once in a while, you have to say give them hard messages. But at the end of the day, I think about, why am I in the role that I am in? Because do I really want this person to teach Tommy, Jay, Albert, any of you? Do I want them teaching you, my children? Then if the answer is no, then they gotta go.
I don't know if it's what I like least, but it's, I guess, the thing that I'm the least strong at. So it is the least favorite for me because I'm very weak at it. But I think roughly like 50% of being a lawyer isn't even, you know, reading or writing or arguing. It's people work. And you don't think about that. You think teachers have to know how to work with students, right? And people think, you know, congressmen or representatives have to be able to work with people, but lawyers have to be really good at working with people because your first priority isn't yourself, it's your client, right? And so part of that is listening to your client and listening to what they need, knowing what they need before they tell you, and being able to relay all of that back and forth between your people, their people, and the other side if there is one. And people work isn't exactly something I'm great at. So it's a skill set that you've got to learn. I was telling my panelists earlier is learn how to be sociable early, right? Because and this is something that I think one of the panelists mentioned. In the age of social media, it's very easy to know people, but it's very hard to really know people. And at a certain point, lawyers have to be really good at actually knowing people and knowing how to communicate with them. And I think, you know, it's not that like I hate doing it, but because it is something that doesn't come naturally for me, it's very difficult. So if there's anything, I think it's probably that.
As much as I love being a nonprofit and running a nonprofit, and there's big challenges, and the biggest thing that least that I like, I'm very good at numbers. I mean, I love numbers and working with the numbers. I can manage anybody's money. However, I'm not very good with the writing. And if it's a nonprofit, I have to write about 10 to 15 grants every year. And then when you write the grants, you gotta do the reportings. So I do the monthly reporting, quarterly, and yearly. So those are 2 things that are very needed in nonprofits. And because of the writing English for the grants, some of maybe you know that you can hear me that I have a big accent because I'm first generation immigrant, and I didn't come to U.S. until I was 24, and then that's when I started to speak and learning English. So I'm still learning the English, and some other words I still cannot pronounce. However, I had to write it between 10 to 15 grants and doing reporting, and that's the least things that I didn't like.
From my perspective, it would be not having the capacity to do more. Each and every day, each of us have 24 hours a day, and we have limited resources, And there's so much more good that we can do for myself, to help others and serve others, but there's only a limited amount of resources that we have. Well, from a financial perspective, serving on the House Appropriations Committee, we have a limited amount of dollars that can be allocated to help the residents of Maryland. So we're able to help support programs, but there's still people out there who are hurting. There's still people out there who need help. So that's one of the biggest struggles that I've seen myself in public services, the limited capacity that we have. And I think that's why it's really great to be here today, because hopefully it would inspire others to do more and to do good in their communities. And I think that's where I'm evolving to try to figure out ways that exponential growth can happen, of good happening in our communities, and not just relying on just myself or just my limited resources.
The worst thing about my job is that there's a lot you can't control. So, a couple things. You can set up, as a cancer researcher or cancer scientist, you can set up the perfect experiment, XYZ variables, and the machine can just go off for some reason, right? You can't control that. Cancer research in general costs money. Cancer research costs a lot of money, so you always have to apply for research grants, whether they be through federal or they be through different corporations, and you have to write a lot of grants. You have to convince other people who may not understand your research idea. You can have the best research idea ever, that is sort of sound in thought and sound in reason, and if the person reading your grant proposal just doesn't understand it, or is having a bad day, or if usually there's 3 judges in a room essentially who judge this, and if 2 think it's good and 1 is just having a bad oyster, it can spoil the rest of the lot. So if, being someone who always likes to be in control of what's going on, there's quite a lot that is sort of up to chance.
Okay, what I like this about my job is when I have no plans, like when I have to give my patient bad news, that's the moment that I'm moaning for them. Like I'm supposed to have a plan for all my patients when they come with their health issue. Any of you come to my office and you tell me this, what do you have, and then I'm supposed to have a plan for you, like a treatment plan, or like a plan for the treatment or something. But sometimes I have no plan. Like I have to give you a bad news. That's painful. Actually, I have a plan and I can make you better and healthier. That's the most rewarding. But at the opposite side, I have no plan. This is dead end. I have to give you bad news. That's also very depressing. I feel like a failure myself. This is the thing, that moment I'm really like about being a doctor. I guess that's what it is. But still, I guess we have to study, do a lot of work so that make it a cure for each disease. But if I have no plan, that's being a doctor is the worst.
For me, part of my job is, I do like doing research, but a lot of times you're tasked with bringing on deliverables. So other panels have mentioned for reports and stuff. I don't have a problem writing them. It's just that you have to. It's a task that, like I mentioned earlier, I would be doing this job anyway on my own, but I don't have to write a report to myself to convince myself I have to do something. For others, I have to write a report to say this is why we need to take this action, X, Y, and Z. So that's the part I don't enjoy about my job.
There's a saying that you never want to be the radiologist's best case or the cool case. that usually means there's something going on inside you, whether we're seeing it on chest x-ray or ultrasound or CT. So whenever you see those, quote, unfortunate but interesting cases, of course, we feel very good about, wow, making the call, making the finding, and contributing to the patient's care and the other physician, because we serve as a consultant role. But I guess the least part that I don't like about my job is sometimes, you know, the CTs are quite normal, but they're getting these CTs and other scans because they're having symptoms, whether it's belly pain or headache. But, you know, imaging-wise, they're perfectly, quote, normal negative. So those can be unsatisfying, not satisfying, and a little bit unsettling, and you wonder, did I miss anything? So that uncertainty is the least part of my job.
For me, how many of you guys wish you can sleep more? Me too. I wish I could sleep more. So in our field, there's some days when you really won't get any sleep because you'll be up all night trying to fix an issue, fix something that's extremely critical. So sometimes you'll be up all night. It can be a simple fix. It can be a 2-day fix. It can be a 3-day fix. So the two things for me, I wish I could sleep more. And then the second thing is that I also do a lot of firefighting. In our field, we call it firefighting. So we're always fixing problems. We fix this one. As soon as you fix this one, then there's another problem. Somebody else wants to come over here. Hey, can you fix this? Can you fix this? So those are probably the, for me, the two least things that I like about my job.
Thank you. So right now what we're going to ask you guys to do is think if you have a question for the panel. There should be Post-its at your table and pens inside of the bins. But we wanted to see if there are questions that you would want to ask. And I am going to ask each of you to at least make one question. Because I can see some of you like, I have nothing to ask. We want each of you to write one question. I'll come around and collect. At that time, I will ask if there's one question that wants to be random calling. It might be like school. I might have to randomly call. So I'm going to give you guys about a minute to start writing. So get a writing utensil and also a Post-it from the bin. So there you go. If anyone doesn't have the materials, I'll come around. If someone wants to answer, can you describe your day-to-day work life? We'll take about 4 panelists to answer that question. Anyone want to start? We'll pass the mic along.
Mine is pretty much, I come in the morning, I look at all my logs, I look at my reports, I look at anything that stands out, that I check my, for example, I'll look at my firewall logs. When I look at my firewall logs, I'll look at how many people are trying to attack, or which IP address are they attacking, what service are they using. And so when I look at that, then I find out that I look at, okay, is it critical, non-critical, and I try to separate it. And then afterwards, throughout the day, after I go through the initial phase, make sure you bring plenty of coffee because you need your coffee. So after that phase, then you just kind of go, it kind of plays itself out. In our field is when you still need to work on this, how do we defend this, how can we make this better, why this problem occurred, how can we fix that problem, and it just goes continuously down the line.
Pretty scheduled, 8 to 5, and instead of having appointments with patients, my patients are basically images, right? So I may be reading, so many cases a day, and I generate reports, and I pretty much, I have, a sedentary life at work. I am, this is a bad scenario, right? Glued to my chair in the dark by myself, but being very happy. I really am happy being a radiologist. And then throughout the day, because I'm also specialized in breast imaging, I'll do like breast biopsies. But one thing I want to add, when I was a radiologist in the Army, one thing that the Army or other military service provides you is a lot of leadership opportunities. So as a radiologist in the Army, not only was I a practicing radiologist, but I had key leadership roles as like section chief or a department chair. So do think about that. That the military does offer a lot of young people leadership roles and management roles.
Day to day, it varies a lot for me. Usually if so it depends on the season. So this season I have a lot of earnings, so a lot of companies will report. And so if there's a lot of companies reporting earnings, I have to follow the earnings, listen to the earnings call, and then make a little report. Otherwise, a lot of times I'm just following news flow and looking for new ideas every day. So it's so I could be doing an Excel spreadsheet, writing up a report. So it varies depending on the season and the news flow.
All right. So there's actually a bunch of students did ask, like, what advice, very similar, looking back as an adult, what advice would you give yourself in middle school or high school?
It would be surprising. I know some of you know because I told you. And my husband knows because we went to junior high school and high school together, that I wasn't always a great student, what you call a late bloomer. And I didn't really have a vision about what I was doing and what I wanted to do. And my girlfriends are here too, but they know, like I was the least studied of the group of girls that hang together. They know that they also know I'm a late bloomer. But just I know some of you are in middle school and some of you are in high school and some of you are in college, but like just having a sense of wanting to be something and having a goal is a great start, because I didn't have that, so I kind of floundered and I just kind of went with a wave. So that's not a good way to, start life. So set a goal.
Anyone else that wants to answer the question of advice you would give to yourself?
For me, going back to high school, I would like to hear myself, if I was high school, is that I never knew what really skills that I had. And I am telling my daughters the same thing to tell them to do, is that watch out for what skills their children have. And so, just take a look at it, what really you're good at it, and see if you like it. Then keep continuously developing that area. Because as you grow, you want to go to good school, you want to have a lot of good degrees, because what? You want to make a lot of money, right? You want to make a good money, you want to have a good living, and that's what we call it success. But I think in this world, especially here in US, if you have a special skills and happen to be you like it, and you're guaranteed to be succeed in your life, in your career too. Not in life, but as of at least for the career-wise, right? And then you'll be guaranteed to make money. So that's one advice I'd like to give if I'm middle school and high school, that I wish that I really developed and continued my skills that I had.
I wish I would have, two things. Is one, I wish I would have learned how to write better. So I had really good grades, extracurriculars and all that, but my writing sucked, it's crap. So when I wrote my college essays, they weren't as effective at communicating a type of message when you're applying for a lot of universities, and that kind of hurt me. So even though you feel like, oh, maybe you want to go to math, you want to go to engineering or science, you still need to be able to write. I'm still learning that even now, right? As we were talking before about, needing to write grants, or needing to writing papers to articulate your science, or if you're in the sort of the clinical side, right? Writing reports internally or externally to your patients. So start that early, and then I guess just generally speaking, I guess I kind of knew that at the time, but more recently, a lot of college applicants already have internships. I was telling my table, one of whom is asleep right now, that you need to really put yourself in a position to be competitive and make your application stand out, right? Everyone's got good grades, and you should absolutely have good grades. Everyone's got extracurriculars. You should actually absolutely have extracurriculars. But more and more these days, students are starting to have extended research internships and job sort of fellowships of following clinicians for not just like a couple weeks, but for months time. And what that tells the undergraduate committee when they're reviewing the application is that, oh, this student is already on the ball. The student already has skills that are going to begin to translate into the workforce, into college readiness. So you should put yourself in that situation and find an internship or a fellowship opportunity senior year, and possibly even junior year.
Well, I guess I used the most Korean than a lot of other people here because I was working and helping Korean homeowners with losing their homes. So I think it was really plus that I was able to speak Korean, and how happy those my clients were that I was actually speaking Korean and that they can communicate with me in email and write in Korean too. So that was a huge plus. And then also me as speaking Korean and AAPI, it was actually helping for the getting grant as well, so that I can say.
While there are many Asian students in Montgomery County in particular, there aren't many Asian teachers, and there are even fewer Korean teachers. And then there are only three Korean principals. For a long time, four, 2 elementary and 2 middle. And that was just recently we added 2, and 1 was added about a couple of years ago. So for a very long time, I was the only Korean administrator in the county. Being a Korean principal at a school like this, where this is the most richest school area, even for Montgomery County. It's very heavily white, heavily affluent, heavily Jewish community. So I kind of stick out like a sore thumb a little bit. And so leading like pretty predominantly white staff, I have to kind of stand confident in my Koreanness, right? Since I've been here, I think we've hired about 15 Korean staff. I would say half of them teachers, half of them supporting staff. And I do that because those are the people I know that work hard, but I also know they're good. I do, probably people want to ask me, why do you do that? But they don't dare ask me why I do that. But I do that because I want to support the Korean community, and there's great benefits to have in the county. So one of the benefits of working for Montgomery County is not just the salary. Salary for teaching isn't as much as some of the other jobs, but what you have in terms of pension and benefits is great. So when I retire, I would probably make the same salary I'm making now in my retirement, because I have, my husband likes that, pension and benefits and all these other things that keep rolling in long after I stop working, okay? So the side benefits is great, and a lot of the people that want to, like Korean community members, want to work in building service. You saw Mr. Lee here. 80% of my building services is Korean too, and half of my cafeteria staff. They want to work. I give them the opportunity because it gives them insurance and lifelong benefits. So I get a chance to help other Korean Americans have longevity in the county and sustain themselves.
Lawyers is a difficult question because depending on the kind of lawyer you are, you're making a very different salary than other lawyers. So you could come out of law school and start working with the government, and at that point you're on basically the government track, which generally I think starts around, for lawyers, around $70,000 a year. But if you go to a really good school and you come out and you start working with big law as an associate, big law meaning like a really large law firm. Pillsbury's big law, but I didn't start out as an associate. You would come out with a starting salary usually around 160 to 180K. But you have to remember that that means you're coming out of usually a very competitive law school, which also means you probably have a lot of debt. So which is why that large salary is balanced out, because they expect you to pay off your student loan in the first 5 or so years if you're starting to take law. So of that 180,000, 90 is going to taxes, and then another 50 of that is probably going into paying off your student loans. So people always say lawyers make a lot of money, which is true if you have certain clients and you do certain work, but a lot of the time you have to think of the different costs that go into one law school. So law school itself has its own cost, but also finding work is very difficult. And if you start off and you think maybe you want to go to big law, then you realize during law school you don't want to do that. Maybe you want to work for the government. You're looking at a very different career trajectory, but it's also very different. Again, it's not. I think everyone will tell you it's not about your salary, right? That is a consideration, but it's also what kind of work you want to do. A big law attorney is going to work 14 hours a day for 6 days per week and make upwards of 200,000. But a government attorney is going to work a 9 to 5, come home and I don't want to say enjoy their life more, but have more time to do what they want to do. And yes, they're going to come out with a lower salary, but maybe that's just like what works best for them. So attorneys run the gamut, and you just got to sort of think of the kind of work that you are interested in and what kind of lifestyle you like.
I can probably bounce back to him because I have a lawyer daughter and I know what she's gone through in different jobs and salary, but I'm here to talk about my industry. So, nonprofit, there is thousands in different industries, and then also there's thousands and thousands in different fields. And then, of course, there's so many levels of nonprofits, right? Starting with a small association to little service organization to huge organization like a Red Cross, Red Cross. So those kind, and so people who are working on the nonprofit, a lot of them working without the pay, and some of them work with the stipends, a little bit, a few $100s. And then going up to CEO, president levels, and depends on size, and you might make a 20, 30, 40,000, go up to maybe $500,000. So you can see there's a huge gap, and because there's so many different areas of nonprofits. So you have to really looking into what areas you want to spend your life on. Like for example, coming forward in the future, if you're working on climate changes, right? And those are huge topics, and I'm sure there will be a lot of jobs available working on that area as well. So I can say is that do what you like to do, and if you're involving it, and even though within nonprofits, there's a huge opportunities out there as you work forward. And then another thing I want to tell you is that for student loans, if you're working for nonprofit service organization, 501c3, and just like you're working for federal governments or other governments, and after 10 years of the service, your student can is eligible for waived. Student loans can be waived, just like working on federal government. So there's another opportunity in areas you can looking into that you work to have a government to be waive your student loan debts.
Most elected representatives on the state and local level are part-time positions, and they're anywhere between 40 to 50,000. On the House of Representatives and U.S. Senate, they're about 150,000. It's a full-time position. In executive branch, mayors make about 150 to 200,000. So do state's attorneys, and then also the governor's about 150 to 175, and the President of the United States makes about 400.
If you go into academia as a research professor, assistant professors, depending on the university, anywhere between 60 to 90K. If you go about 3 years in, you become associate, that's another bump up of about 15,000. When you get tenured, and you're a tenured associate professor, you can expect 130K, 140, based on, depending on where you're at. And then when you are there for longer than like 10, 15 years, and you become full professor. State schools, some state schools in Maryland, I believe full professors 150, others are 250. If you're, I don't think I would be at Harvard, but if you're lucky to be professor at Harvard, I believe some may upwards of 700K. Yeah, but that's a pipe dream. So let's just bring it back down to absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay, so before we talk about salary, I need to tell you about the school tuition, right? So law school is 3 years, medical school is 4 years, and private school is 4 years, and she went to military school, so she's going to talk about that different issue. Yeah, business school different, but medical school is 4 years, so most of the students who get loan, unless their parents can pay, they come out with about 300,000 K in their shoulders. And then there's the salary changes, depends on what specialty, but usually anything starting 250K, that's how starting salaries. Most of surgeons, they make millions, I guess, a year. So they start to $50K to $1 million a salary, and plus that's the reason that when you buy first house, as soon as you start the first job, very easy to get mortgage. There's no penalty of, like you don't need to make a down payment. They'll do 100% loan for the house, which is a big benefit. And I guess if you want to open your own practice, if you have a medical license, they are willing to give you any loans. I guess that's about it.
First of all, I'm going to say this is not me. I'm going to talk generally. Depending on and there's a very high degree of variability. It's extremely variable in the financial services business. If you get in the right situation, out of undergrad, let's say you do investment banking, you could easily make over 100K, 150K first year out of undergrad. But you're going to be working 100 hours a week, easily. I mean, it's probably in New York, so 150K in New York, you're still poor. So it depends a lot on the situation. So a lot of people make 6 figures in our position easily, but the comp is not only about the base salary, a lot is about the bonus. So you'll hear a lot of times that Wall Street has a lot of bonuses. Bonuses are a big deal in financial services. It could be multiples of your salary. So that's why a lot of people like to get into financial services. And personally, I think financial services people are overpaid, but I'm not going to complain, but they are. But that's kind of the reality. It's just very variable, and people make low 6 figures to 7 figures. It just depends on the place you are, how successful your firm is, what year you've had to. I mean, you could have people in hedge funds who were out of undergrad, they had a great year, they picked a lot of the right stocks, they made $1 million. So and you're a trader, you had a lot of great trades that year, you can make 7 figures easy. So extremely variable, but those are actually outlier cases. So most people still kind of, if they're in a good position, can make 6 figures, low 6 figures as a base salary. And then they count a lot on the bonus to make a really big bucks.
Let's see. You know, in general, as a physician, you see a lot of physicians in, I guess, that clinical setting, right? But as a physician, you could be in an academic setting. You know, you could be in a academic, private, or employee. And of course, depending on your specialty, there's a salary range too. So I would say as a radiologist in a private setting, you know, and it all depends on where you live too. You know, the DC, Maryland, Virginia, this area is probably the quote lowest paying area. And of course, if you go to like Midwest, your salary is going to be a lot greater. But overall, I think in US, as a radiologist, average salary is anywhere between like 300 to 600K.
I'll take it from a 2-point perspective. So from a federal government, if you get your college degree, come out with a bachelor's, you'll probably come in about GS7, close to in between 50 to 60 grand. If you get your master's, you might come about GS9, which is about 60 to 70 grand, is what they start. But if you want to go from the private side and IT side, you can start from 60 grand and you can go into 6 figures easy. 6 figures, you get bonuses. They make a lot of money. They can make a lot of money. If you want to go on the dark side, if you're a good hacker, you can make a lot of money. You know, they'll charge you by having every points. You can ransom yourself out to be a hacker, stuff like that. They have the dark portals. You can go out there. You know, you can hack machines. You can get money for that. You can be hold other people for ransom. You can get money for that. But the bad hacker,
We will not do. We will not do. That's that.
But what I'm saying with the bad hackers, you'll get, you know, they'll get caught, and eventually the hackers will get caught. They'll get caught. Eventually you'll get caught because you'll slip up. So the white hackers, it depends on the company they work for. So some companies, it just depends on the companies that you work for. Some companies want to pay, they'll pay someone to go out and penetrate. That's why there's a lot of penetration testers in our field. Our job, their job is to go out there and pen test your system to find out where you're weak. And then there's been some people that's come in where they're weak and they actually penetrated it and hacked it, and they got sued because they wanted to show him, hey, this is your weak here, you're weak here. They're just doing it for like educational purposes. So on the IT field, the salary ranges can be big because it's you have help desk support, you have a administrator, you have a programmer, you have a networking engineer, you have a security specialist. So it's a pretty big field.
All right, I think we're going to end with one more question, which will go down the panel. I've had multiple students ask the question of how did you choose, whether it be the career path or the specific job that you're in, guidance on how to make a decision towards a career path.
Well, since I have the mic, I'll pass it down. So for me, to be honest with you, mine is about who you know. High school, I wasn't a great high school kid. You know, the stereotype, the Korean that does math like that, that's not me. I was bad at math. I wasn't good at math. So, and then as you go to the military, and then there's about building your connections. So I went to the military, got out of the military. Then I found a friend that worked for Arrow's Internet, or some of the places called Star Power, RCA. And so they were able to get me in there. So you work hard, you start from the bottom. I would drive 4 or 5 hours just to flip a switch sometime. And just come back and drive 4 or 5 hours to go back home. So, I forgot about it. See what happens when you don't get enough sleep? So, what was the question?
Why did you choose the career path?
So my career path was, it was like I was saying, because I knew somebody. And then eventually, with the gaming, I like computer gaming. And then eventually, I like to stay up late at night, play gaming, and so forth. And then it eventually evolved from there, for me from there.
I think I had a pretty straight career pathway because going into medicine was something that I knew I wanted to do since 4th grade. But I think that the interesting part of my career pathway was the fact that somehow I got into military and stayed there for 20 years. And as I was sharing with my group, that was because as I was leaving high school, I needed money to go to college. And it was my ROTC scholarship. I had gotten a 4-year ROTC scholarship. So then when I got done with college, I knew I needed to go to medical school. I needed to find another way. And I applied and got into the military medical school here in Bethesda, USIS. So that's how I helped myself get through med school. And then when you're done with med school at USIS, you go through the military internship and residency. So by the time I added all that and my obligations from ROTC and USIS, I had already put in like 16 years. So I stayed in 4 more for the retirement, essentially. But so, you know, I knew I wanted to become a physician. I didn't know anything about the military, but I got in via the scholarship route, and it's been good. You know, it's been interesting, and it's done me well.
For me, when I was starting to save some money, I started looking for places to save money, and I put it in the markets. And once I started putting it in the markets, got me really interested in following the markets and how you can make a pile of money grow by investing and researching. And so I was doing it personally. So I really liked it doing personally. So I figured, well, why don't I just get paid for this? So that's all. I just followed my interest in the markets and research.
Yeah, I decided to become a doctor like again in middle school. Thinking you guys need to figure out who you are, what are the ability you have, and what can you do. And you should have like a 10 and 20, 30-year plan so that you can plan it. I guess going to good school is good, but just going to college, that cannot be your goal. You should have a long-term goal. So my dad was good, very religious. He wanted me to do bongsa, right? Serve the community. So I was thinking really seriously about elementary school and middle school. What can I do? Serve the community and serve the people. So I guess being doctor and then serve, that's the pathway. So I really work hard for my 30 years. So that's why I became a doctor.
I kind of knew in high school I wanted to do something with cancer research. So then I did an internship at USDA. I was in microbiology and biology, and I absolutely hated it. So when I went to college, I just put chemistry as my major because it wasn't biology and it was life science related. And then I took the classes, I liked it, I found that I was good. You know, and the hardest, you know, organic chemistry, everyone hates it, but I did pretty good at it. So I was like, okay, pursue it. And in the research side, whether you go into biotech or pharma or academia, you need a PhD. So pursued and applied for that. I think kind of important to understand is that unlike business school or law school or medical school where you got to pay for, PhDs paid for, so you don't have to worry about loans or having to pay that off. So that was nice. So yeah, so just keep that in mind. If you're life science or STEM, is the PhD track is, you don't have to worry about paying for that school.
As we conclude this year's annual Mentorship Day, I think the word that comes to mind for all of us is reflective. It's been great for each of us to reflect upon our own careers, but I think also as the next generation of leaders, for yourselves to take time to reflect upon what are your skills, what are your passions, what do you want to do for the next stage of your life. The average age that an individual lives is about 70 plus years. And if you do the math, that comes up to about 30,000 days. How do each and every one of us want to live those 30,000 days on this earth? And that takes reflection. And it's work, it takes work to reflect upon ourselves, to look inside ourselves and to figure out what do we want to do. And the three components that I would like to leave with you today is first of all, to be humble. Whatever you do in life, be humble. Look for ways to serve others, put others before yourself, and look for selfless servant leadership. The second thing is to be hungry. Always seek to do more than you did yesterday. Wake up each and every day, getting out there, suiting up, going out in the field, and doing the best you can, and making the world a better place no matter what you're doing. And the last thing is to be honest. To be honest with yourselves and to be honest with others. Something that I reflect upon in my career that I see a lot, and it's not just within a specific profession or industry, but it's all across the board. And it's because of people not being honest. Because of leaders who are in positions who fall to greed, who fall to not having solid principles, and they get caught up. And when they're 60 years old or 70 years old, they're going to prison because of making bad decisions. And decisions they thought nobody would ever see. So I want to leave this with each and every one of you, is that the stage in your life right now is where you build honesty, is where you build character. You can't wait till you're the FBI director, or the principal of a school, or the chief medical officer of an agency, or the chief investment officer of a firm, to learn and decide to wake up that morning and decide, I need to learn character, I need to learn integrity, I need to learn honesty. You need to learn it now. And when nobody else is watching and you're faced with those tough decisions, that's where character, that's where leadership, that's where integrity, that's where honesty is developed. And when you have those wins, when nobody else is watching, that's how you become a leader. Thank you very much.
I think I am very fortunate, fortunate than a lot of other people out there, and I think I always did and accomplished what I wanted to do, and then the way I wanted to go. So since I was young, I have something in my mind, planned for it, and I always put things in planning. Okay, this is what I want to do, and how I'm gonna do it, and what I'm gonna accomplish. And then I was able to convince my families, because you cannot do anything without your family's support, right? Either your parents or siblings or your spouses. So I always be able to convince them, and when I was growing up, I did the same thing. So when I changed my job second or third time, I went out to, of course, as I said, I convinced my family and I bought into them. And then I go out to my, some other organization that I involve, or some other professional people that I know, and I go out and talk to them and see if they buy into my plan. So I earn their trust, and then I gain their support, and then I studying for, especially my nonprofits. That's how I started my nonprofits, because the people are convinced with my planning. So now in my life, I'm changing my fourth career. So every career that I changed is the way I want it to be, the way I like it, and things I love to do. That's my focus. I do things I love to do. So therefore, I work 7 days, 24-hour work. I never get stressed until my body physically get exhausted, and I go sleep. But other than that, I sleep only 3-4 hours a day. But I am working, you know, it's all mental work, but I really enjoy it, so I don't have any stress. So it's my body gets stressed, but not mentally, right? So you hear all those people work, so oh, how stressed they are. They hate to get up and go to work or school, right? Because they don't love what they do. But if you do love it, you don't have those. So now I'm going into my last and final, my retirement career, as running another nonprofit. It's called Impact on Wildlife Fund. That's because there's something that I believe that it can help this whole wide world with the wildlife and then other things, right? And including climate changes. So when you have something you like to do, when you change your path, don't afraid to change your path. Don't afraid to change your career, right? So make sure when you change it, make sure you have them plan it, have action plans, and you have to have a goal, and that's gonna take you to where you wanna go. And that's what it took me to where I am today.
So I started out and my major originally was in nursing, and as I many of you, I jokingly say I'm not the most patient person, so it was the wrong career right away. I knew that, and I guess that goes to the advice of do what you like, know what you like, because whatever you choose to do, you're going to study that for 4 years, and the career, and you're going to do work for life. Like now, like somebody said, the average life is 70s. And some people work till 70, so it's going to be a long time. So if you need to do what you like, otherwise it's not going to be a happy life, right? So figure out what you want to do, what are you good at? And to me, the most important thing, the money's good and all, but I think Delegate Chang mentioned earlier about serving others, and he's an example of it. That whole idea of servant leadership, there's someone bigger than you, bigger than me, and it's really about serving the community. And that's why I even began to be part of tonight or today. I just, somebody came, Mr. Cha asked me for support with one thing, and next thing I know, I'm getting all my friends and neighbors involved in it. It's because about serving the community. In the job that you do, whatever that is, how are you serving the community? How are you making the, where you live better? So, it's very selfish just to do for myself and I, right? So, make a positive impact on others. And I think when you do that, aside from salary, you'll get a better enjoyment of the work and just be fulfilled in the work.
We can give our panelists a round of applause. And as you guys are filling out the survey form, I think we'll do some acknowledgements.
The volunteering today, 2 persons, get up, Lee, Tai Lee. Please come up.
Certificate of appreciation is presented to Ki Dok Lee for your commitment and contribution of your time, effort as volunteering service for leadership development at the 6th LOKA Annual Leadership Mentoring Day.
They come every year when we have, so I appreciate our service.
For your outstanding contribution as a mentor for the success of young mentee students at LOKA 6th Annual
Okay, look here, look at me, 1, 2.
CS Kim?
Okay, look at me first. 1, 2.
Mr. Eric Cha?
Okay, look at me. 1, 2.
Dr. Huang Ki?
Look at me.
Dr. Kim An?
Look here.
Mr. Mark Chang? Ms. Song Hutchins?